you ever taken an innocent trip to the casino and before you know it, you look down and your whole entire second mortgage suddenly vanished? What if I told you could lose that money in the comfort of your very own home? As a matter of fact, you can lose that money while playing some of your favorite video games right now in this very moment with little to no restriction whatsoever. Today I want to look at the entire history of gambling in video games, from innocent, non-monetary yet addicting gameplay to full-blown digital paper shredders sugar-coated by your favorite streamers. And it all started with Vegas Dream in 1990 for the NES. This is, as the title says, what it's like to be living the Vegas Dream. You go there, and after your trip, you're able to retire you and your family and every generation to come. You beat the game when you amass $10 million in winnings, and you lose the game where you inevitably end your life from your losses. This is about as innocent as a full-blown gambling game can be when you think about the time it was released. I mean, this game was rated E for crying out loud. I don't think any game released in the modern time that's fully centered around gambling would ever get this kind of rating. It's pretty cookie cutter. You know, you run slot machines, play roulette, play blackjack, or whatever the hell this game is. I don't know what's going on here. Your winnings are broadcasted on the news for whatever reason, and at its core, it's just a flash casino game. But without a doubt, I still think this could have some detriment to children growing up. Like, I know I would have no reason to allow my kids to play this, but I like to dedicate the rest of this segment to other examples of kind of innocent forms of gambling in video games. The most easy one, like Vegas Dream, is just straight up gambling with your in-game currency that has no monetary value in real life to increase your digital winnings with no impact on your real life wallet. There's countless examples of this. Basically, any gritty game has some form of gambling. My first experience with it was probably Red Dead Redemption 1, just straight up playing poker. I find no problem with this because most of the time it's in a game where doing a little gambling is the least of your worries as far as influencing children. Far Cry 3 had poker, New Vegas has extensive gambling, GTA Online has a full-blown casino. Even the original Call of Duty Black Ops, the whole entire progression was like sort of a gambling theme to it with a wager match. You know, you wager your COD points and then get more COD points or lose those COD points. You know how it goes. Then you have other games that are very gambling-centric, like Balatro being a poker-based roguelike that has an E10 rating. And again, yeah, there might be like some gambling elements to this, but this is much more of like an RNG simulator and like risk-taking kind of thing. And that's a whole other story. I mean, RNG is in just an insane amount of games. It's just a part of video games as a whole. I mean, do you really think the excitement of a kid catching a Deoxys with a plain Jane Pokeball is going to send them into a downward spiral of a gambling addiction? Or the thought of nailing a Game & Watch 9 at an opportune moment, perhaps basically any given game of Mario Party. The excitement behind the mystery box in Call of Duty Zombies, the top tech in Magic or Hearthstone. As you can see, RNG is a part of a lot of games. I would argue every single game has at least some minor point of RNG sprinkled in through it in some way, but I would not go as far as to call that gambling. Sometimes it is directly tied to gambling, but a lot of time it's just part of the game. But there is a much darker side to these kind of like sugar-coated gambling experiences or RNG moments in video games. I'm totally joking. I just want to talk about Luigi's Casino. If you ever played Mario 64 DS or the new Super Mario Bros., you would know that there's a bonus mode where you get to play a Nintendo version of poker against Luigi himself and wager your coins to get more coins. Again, as far as the game itself, I don't have much of a problem with it, but I do think it's a little distasteful to have a full-blown casino level in a kid's game. I mean, Toad is a cocktail waitress for crying out loud. As a matter of fact, Nintendo and Mario were actually no stranger to casinos and gambling. If you remember playing Mario Sunshine, there's a full-blown level that's all taking place in a casino, and there's like in one of the boss fights you're like ground pounding a roulette table. I don't know. I remember just as a kid I didn't know what this was. I was like, what like, this seems like a fun place to be. It turns out it's actually one of the saddest places to be in the entire world, actually. Pokemon also has casinos and game corners where little kids can sit here and chain smoke Newports as they gamble their life savings away. I don't find too much wrong with this, but at a certain point it's kind of like, how different is this than having a level taking place in like a fucking strip club? All jokes aside, I want to start diving into where I think there actual is full-blown gambling in video games that I actually experienced when I was far too young to be participating in this kind of thing, and that is FIFA Ultimate Team. I'm not a big soccer fan by any means, but I caught the FIFA bug when playing it at a friend's house over like just the good gameplay that it used to have. And if you play FIFA, you know that once you get into it, especially the Ultimate Team, there's really no going back. For those that don't know how it works, Ultimate Team let you assemble a team spanning all the players in the entire FIFA roster to go head-to-head with other players and compete in events. The way you got these players was from packs that sure were available through grinding the free in-game currency, but then there were the FIFA points where you use real in-life money to spin the wheel and see if you packed the player you're looking for, or maybe something better, a team of the season, a team of the week, a team of the year, an inform, or the holy grailed legend cards.
What's going to be in this one? Oh my god! Oh my god! No! Oh, I've done it again!
Some of these cards had limited runs, meaning there's only a limited amount of them in the wild, which resulted in a high desire for them that created a black market for FIFA players and the accounts that own them. Not only is this one of the early signs of being just straight up pay to win, but this is also you know, a full-blown gambling scheme when you boil it down. Although it's against EA's terms of service to sell accounts or even exchange account information with someone, that didn't stop people from making money on the secondary with this format. There are a few ways around this. If you were buying a specific player from a specific person, they would just list it really cheap and then only accept your transaction. Or you could buy straight up FIFA coins from someone. You know, you would sell a player for a super cheap player for like 20,000 coins or however much you bought it for, and then they would buy it from you. Or you could just sell your account outright, and then if you had a stacked account, it could be, you know, thousands of dollars. I'm pretty sure, I remember at least in FIFA 14, Ronaldo or Messi was like straight up, if you had one that was an immediate, you could just sell your account for at least $1,000. This created an infinite money glitch for EA because I remember every time I got paid, I worked at fucking Sonic, the fast food restaurant at the time, you know, my paycheck would go straight to FIFA points, you know, spin the wheel. It would always be just that dopamine rush, like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna pack the Messi or the team of the week, Neymar, whatever it is. You know, you're gonna be on the edge of your seat just thinking, oh, just one more spin, I'm gonna get there. And I will say it was a little different back then because I actually did care about making my team better. I wasn't necessarily in the money side of things. I genuinely was addicted to it because I wanted to get better at the game. And spoiler alert, the only way to get better at FIFA Ultimate Team is by spending real life money. To put in perspective how big of a cultural phenomenon this is where Rodashaw and KSI, at least where I started watching them, this is where their pack opening videos were just insanely viral. It was hilarious because you'd watch them throw thousands of dollars and then just have nothing to show for it by the end of it. But then there'd be those times where they'd, you know, the first pack they'd get a legend or something insane and have some crazy reaction. I'm gonna go ahead and clip one right now. I was eating this shit up. This was like, for probably like 2 years straight, this is what, like, almost exclusively what I would watch in high school. Once again, I think this kind of leans a little bit more towards pay to win than gambling, but if you can ever spend money for a chance to upgrade your experience in the video game, not even guarantee it, like, I think that's definitely some type of gambling. You know, pay to win usually is like, oh, let me spend $20 and get this gun or this attachment, whatever it is to enhance your gameplay experience. Whereas in FIFA, and what we're going to talk about here in a second, you're spending $20 to maybe get that thing, and you're going to keep doing it until you finally get it. Spending money for a chance instead of guarantee is just like insane, and that is just like the most EA, like, this is, EA's always been shitty, but this is like all-time shitty, and they still are all-time shitty. Anyways, with this whole format, I think there should be at least some type of disclaimer like, hey, there's some form of gambling, or, you know, some type of regulation between this, which they kind of got to. Well, I'll talk about that right now. Now, in the newer FIFAs, they have market caps and, like, caps on how much you can sell a player for, and they have like established market prices, meaning you can't sell a super cheap bronze player for like 100,000 in gold or have, you know, however they were cheesing it before. So yes, that does eliminate the secondary basically entirely, but what it doesn't stop is just you still buying the packs. Obviously, it basically only benefited EA for people to keep buying packs instead of working around it to get the player they actually want. And also, everything I've talked about so far, as far as I'm concerned, is also applicable to Madden Ultimate Team and then 2K. I think FIFA was the first one to really popularize it, or I think FIFA was the first Ultimate Team, but now every sports game has some type of version of it now. I'm not exactly sure who started it first, but now I think this sort of kickstarted the whole loot box craze. You know, we're still kind of in that. A lot of games still have this format, and sometimes it is done right. I think Overwatch 1, the way that was done was very well. You know, it was all cosmetics. There was no type, it was all, you know, maybe you get something you like that looks shiny, maybe you get a super rare skin that you could sell, but with Battle.net and Blizzard, that didn't really seem like a thing because it only was cosmetic and nothing to do with enhancing the actual gameplay, whereas in FIFA, that's exactly what it was. Now with Overwatch 2, there's Battle Pass and loot boxes, and I think Apex Legends also similar thing going on there, loot boxes, but also Battle Pass and store. So I mean, you pick your poison, I guess. But where we got another full-blown pay-to-win dopamine life sucker format was Star Wars Battlefront 2 at launch. And this was actually one of the most insulting things to ever hit the gaming market ever. And that is because anything and everything you use to enhance your character was blocked behind a loot box in this game. There was no natural way of unlocking things or a guaranteed way of unlocking things. It was all RNG bullshit. And again, it kind of goes back to that whole thing of you can spend money on this game to buy those loot boxes, but there's no guarantee you're going to get the thing you actually want. Like maybe you open $30 worth of packs and you get a bunch of sniper class stuff, but you're an LMG player or whatever. You know, you're spending money for a chance to get the thing that you wanted, and then if you didn't get the thing that you wanted, even though you already spent money for it, you're not going to get that thing you want. At least in other pay-to-win games, you can spend money and guarantee get the thing that you want to enhance your gameplay. Once again, not promoting or condoning pay-to-win whatsoever, but if you're going to do it, don't have any type of random element added to the transaction itself. Battlefront Battlefront 2 obviously saw, I mean, there's no way you didn't know about this. It was such a big deal when it came out, and the game has since completely reversed everything it does and gave it actual natural progression throughout the entire game. And it's no surprise that this is also EA's doing as well. But there is other examples of this. I mean, Call of Duty, from I think like Black Ops 3 all the way to World War II, every single gun that came out post-launch would be locked behind some type of loot crate, and that gun was usually pretty damn good, arguably, you know, one of the best as soon as it came out. And once again, you're just gonna spin the wheel or, you know, roll the dice, try and get that gun through your bullshit ass loot crates, and if you didn't, you didn't. Again, no other way to unlock it. It was just super annoying. I remember there was like the Akimbo Marshalls, the shotgun pistol, which was so fun to use, and I could never get that for the longest time. And looking back at it, I cannot believe we just tolerated this whole entire era of gaming, because it was absolute bullshit. But of all the random loot box openings and pack openings and whatnot, this whole format, there's one that's so ambiguous, vague, diabolical, and borderline evil, and that is Counter-Strike. For those that don't know how this works, Steam has an entire secondary for digital owned in-game items that you can sell at whatever price you want, pending said items' rarity and demand are. This goes beyond games that were made by Valve themselves, but it's most popular with Valve games. I believe the first game to introduce or implement this feature was Team Fortress 2, and that became a big you know, talking point as far as like, oh, I just packed this, let me go sell it and actually get money for it. But then it got totally out of hand, or I guess even more popularized, I guess, was CSGO, which is now CS2. Just like most of what we've already talked about, CS2 had offered crates that let you spin the wheel and try to get some sick camos and skins for your weapons that are strictly cosmetic. But within those skins, there are some that are worth an absolute fortune. And I don't use that word lightly. I mean, there is actual life-changing amounts of money with these packs. And unlike FIFA, there's no sketchy third-party service or middleman to facilitate the transaction itself, because now it's all in the comfort of Steam. And guess what? Basically anyone and everyone can do this. And since this is a digital item that's being sold and technically by itself has no monetary value on its own, the monetary value is then established through the supply and demand of the community. And with that, you have extremely vague and unrestricted jurisdiction about this whole situation that Valve and law enforcement completely ignore. The way I interpret this is it's kind of like Pokemon cards. You know, if a kid wants to go buy a Pokemon card, as far as the Pokemon company cares, the monetary value of the card itself is irrelevant, because Pokemon only expects you to get cards through opening packs. So sure, maybe they pull a $1,000 card, but they don't care about that because they didn't make that card $1,000. The community did. You know, if Pokemon established that, then it would definitely be some type of gambling. You know, at that point, it's like buying a lottery ticket as a little like 4-year-old. And so that's kind of the same thing going on here. You know, I don't think Valve is like, oh yeah, this skin, let's make this one $2 million. You know, it's not like that at all. Technically, Valve has no hand in establishing these prices. Therefore, these items that you unlock or you pack have no monetary value on their own. So a kid can spend infinite money on these and go bankrupt in hopes of maybe becoming a millionaire. Well, again, on its own, I guess that's not an issue, because you should be limiting what your kid's doing on your computer anyways. But where things got really out of hand is when third-party websites started popping up. I'm sure you know about these. Obviously, CS Wild and FaZe Clan had a big controversy. And then T Martin and Syndicate, again, kind of doing some really shady shit, especially when you think that their audiences. These sites let you wager in-game skins over a coin flip to get another skin of equal or greater value than the one you were wagering. So you could gamble your winnings they already won through gambling in the first place to potentially score more items to gamble with or sell outright. Now, it's already pretty sus that anyone with a Steam account can gamble, sell, and profit digital winnings with no regulation. But now having these third-party websites thrown into the mix with less regulation and legal ambiguity to which people can profit even more of other people's losses is where things get all-time bad. And back to the whole FaZe Clan and Syndicate and Team Martin thing, they owned these websites and didn't tell anyone, and then were showing on their videos like, hey, I found this website that I definitely have nothing to do with, and, you know, promoting it and winning it big, which, if you don't think that they rigged the odds in their own favor because they own the website, you are just so out of your mind.
And we found this new site called CSGO Lotto, so I'll link it down in the description if you guys want to check it out. But
so we create this website, and through our rake and all this shit, we were making like $200,000 a day.
But yeah, so this was like a blatant like, hey kids, get on this website. It's free, and you can wager your, you know, basically not marketing it as a gambling website, even though that's exactly what it was, to kids who have, you know, their parents' credit card, I guess. I'm gonna go down a whole rabbit hole of how to that whole entire era of the internet was, but I'm sure you already know all the details of that. Long story short, they basically got a warning saying cut the website, and no actual legal punishment whatsoever because of how hard it would be to enforce gambling of items that technically don't have any type of direct price tag on their own, despite targeting a younger audience and allowing and promoting them to be gambling on their website for their own good. Anyways, with the recent update to the trade system, apparently you can reverse trade now and get your items back after every transaction, whether you won or lost on these websites, which I think Valve fully enforced to stop these websites, because technically, again, again, they're still not illegal. You know, if someone's gonna get your ass for it, like, they're probably just going to intimidate you to take off the website. But again, this still leaves the whole loot crate opening thing being a thing, which again, on its own, I don't think is a problem. Technically, to have a Steam account, you should be 18, I think, to be able to do this in the first place. So there is that safeguard. It all comes down to like, how much is your parent limiting you on your computer or whatever. We all know that your favorite streamer is probably doing a case opening right now in hopes of hitting a big knife. And I want to make it clear, I have no problem with this at all. I mean, these are adults gambling, and yeah, you could say, oh, but they have a kid audience. But at the end of the day, I've said it like 3 times now, your parents should be limiting what you're watching and intaking. So if a kid gets a gambling addiction because their parent doesn't want to limit what they're watching on YouTube or whatever, then that's the parent's fault at that point, because this content is pretty fun. I mean, I don't even play CSGO, but watching someone freak out over hitting like a $10,000 knife, come on, I mean, like, that's just good.
Opening statement. The opening. Oh, gloves! Yes! Oh, headspace! Holy shit, headspace! Oh my god, headspace! Minimum waste puts your knife! What? Oh my god! Wait, oh my fucking.
Gambling in video games has come a very long way, and I would go as far to say it's more normalized than I would like it to be. And that goes for society as a whole. I mean, if you go and watch any sporting event, there's always some bullshit ass best bet segment, and there's some third-party sports book that's like, oh yeah, this is my pick. Like, I know when I was watching SportsCenter as a kid, which was very rare, I didn't see Stephen A. Smith talking about some plus 400 bullshit ass parlay he put together. And I live in a state where it's legal to sports gambling online, but there's also states that aren't. And even on SportsCenter, it's like they're still shoving it down your throat even where it's illegal, because they just eventually, when inevitably it becomes legal everywhere, they want you to do it. Like, it's pretty fucking predatory. I don't know how this is allowed on a, you know, something that appeals to all audiences, because it's like, you know, daddy's pulling the pack like, Dad, what's a plus 600 same game parlay? And dad's like, get the fuck off me, I'm gonna get rich. So now we're at the point where it's just kind of normalized throughout all society. I mean, you know, people are always talking about their sports gambling. I mean, it's fucking everywhere. You cannot escape it. And in video games now, it just seems like a very normalized thing to do. It's just like such cheap content for streamers, and I get it. It's entertaining as well. That's just the world we live in, I guess. I mean, I think the whole Ultimate Team era was fucking terrible. I mean, I'm kind of like proud I got to be a part of that, but looking back at it, it was so evil. But yeah, that's the entire history of gambling in video games. If you think I missed something, like actual other examples of gambling, please drop those down below. Also, if you've seen the thumbnail, I was wearing this. I really wanted to wear this in the video, but I realized this is green, and so is this little screen behind me, so it would have looked fucking ridiculous. So I apologize in advance if that's clickbait to some. I thought it was kind of a fun idea. But if you want to hear me talk about the death of the collector's edition, or hear me play and rank every Metal Gear game, click on screen now. And if you liked, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. And thank you so much for watching.